Okay, everybody, I'm going to try this again. I went through an entire session and it either didn't go or it didn't save or something. And it was very strange. So I'm going to sit here for a second and see if anybody pops on. And perhaps you can tell me what might possibly be going on. Let's see. That is very, very strange. Oh, there's Karen. Okay, good. Some people are popping in now. Okay, guys, I am so sorry. Something must have been really weird with Facebook a little bit ago because I went through like the entire thing and I was like, oh, I guess nobody could watch live tonight. And apparently it didn't take or something didn't work. This is so bizarre. Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm going to kind of like reset a little bit. And then I'll talk you back through what I did. So I started out by telling you guys that there's a upcoming promotion that there's going to be an advance. Hey, Kathy Joe, good to see you. And I think I see Karen. Excuse me, I see Karen. Okay, awesome. I think people are starting to, they got the notification this time. That was just the strangest thing. I say, oh boy. Okay, so Fitting Florets. It's going to be an advanced premiere, so to speak, of a set that's going to be in the next mini catalog, along with some additional product. And I am going to show you some of the things tonight because I used it in my sample. Okay, so there's going to be the Fitting Florets. I'm sorry, framed florets stamp set, and it has a matching die set, also called flame florets. They're going to start doing them the same, so you don't have to try to remember what goes with what. Yay! So there's framed florets, those two things. This bundle will continue on into the next mini catalog, so keep an eye out for that then, but you can order it starting November 1st, in addition to a bonus stamp set called Framed and Festive. Oh, that's right, it's Jamie's birthday today. I hope she had a good day. You're going to have these gilded, let's see, what are they called? Gold adhesive back swirls and some really pretty designer series paper. So the swirls, this particular stamp set, and the DSP, which I'll show you in a second, are only going to be available while supplies last starting November 1st. So they will not continue on. But if you love it, you're going to have to grab it then. So there's some really pretty florals, along with just some really basic patterns in the background. And your color palette is Balmy Blue, Blushing Bride, Crushed Curry, Evening Evergreen, Night of Navy, Polished Pink, and Soft Succulent. So really, really pretty combinations, fun patterns on the back. And this one is one of my favorites. I think this one is really kind of cool. And there's your Polished Pink, and then some greens and blues. Okay, so that is the Fitting Florets DSP, and again, all those other bonus things will be available starting November 1st. I'll have all the details on my Facebook page, of course, and then they're available through the beginning of January or while supplies last for those limited edition items. Okay, I am going to let you guys gather a couple things quick if you haven't already, and I'm going to go grab some spare cardstock, and I can recreate at least part of what I did so that you can see how I put together the part I already put together, because I thought y'all here were here watching with me. Like I said, that was just the weirdest thing. The Facebook changed the way they do, like when you sign on, whether you're a business, your page. Hey, Jessie, good to see you tonight. Whether you're yourself or your page, and sometimes it gets a little messed up, and that's apparently what happened tonight. So I'm glad somebody pointed out to me that they couldn't find me. Thank you, Mom. So that I can go back and try again. Okay, so this is one of the samples I made using that limited edition set, Framed and Festive, that's going to be available. And there's a sample of the frame itself, and it looks really pretty in that gold foil. Really, really stunning piece for your holiday time. So that's the nice thing about this one. You can use it now, and then as you approach more of spring, you'll get those guys coming back into play. Okay, let me grab a piece of white cardstock quick, and we will get rocking and rolling. Okay, so just as a reminder, that's not the right one. There we go. Cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5, and you're going to score that at 4 1/4. I know, right, Karen? It's like a replay live. I'm really glad we could do that for you tonight, because I know you don't get to catch us every time. All right, then you're gonna want some designer series paper. I would recommend a small print. That's gonna be 3x3. And I'm using that new paper I just showed you guys. So there's my piece that's 3x3. You're gonna need a piece of white. I did not cut that right. That's neutral, whatever neutral you're using. 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So which one did I do wrong? This one. There we go. That's better. And then a piece that's 3 1/4 by 2. And that's gonna be for your phrase. So you want a phrase that's gonna fit your 3/4 by 2. And you're gonna want some kind of images or a focal point that you die cut or something like that to fill in your 2 3/4 piece of neutral. Have your paper trimmer handy because we're gonna actually take that piece of DSP and we're gonna cut it and use it in pieces. So keep that trimmer handy and I will go through and show you how I created the sample I created before when none of y'all were here. Thanks, Facebook. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I am using Blushing Bride and Soft Succulent. So for my piece here, I'm going to take and put in some large and small sized flowers. And I'm just randomly going through my piece here. I'm not doing it very specifically. I'm kind of looking for a, almost like I'm recreating my own designer series paper. So it's not really a true focal point piece or anything quite like that. And one thing I would recommend if you're doing something like this, oops, I missed the edge there. Go ahead and go off the edge with that. It might feel incomplete to you, but it is actually, it actually does give it a more finished look by the time you are all done. Okay, and then as long as I have that out, I'm gonna take my blending brush and that's how I'm gonna color tonight. I'm just gonna start swirling around where I have stamped those flowers and it's gonna go over the edges of those and that's okay. I don't mind filling in some of the blank space with the Blushing Bride color. Now you can see as I'm using my blending brush, what I don't want to do is pash it down and start like that because you're going to end up with a big splotch and that splotch is never going to blend out. So I don't rest my finger on the brush, I guess, as opposed to the handle. So I just hold on to my handle and I start the swirl motion when I'm off the paper and just bring it on with a light touch because you can always add more and make it darker, but you can't, once it's on there, it's on there. And you really can't remove the ink. Okay, so then I'm gonna add some leaves, there we go, to this with my Soft Succulent. And I'm gonna use that to fill in some of these blank spaces that you'll see in between where I stamped my flowers. And I think I'm gonna add a little bit up in that corner. And every once in a while I stop and I sit back and I just kind of take a look and see if there's any place else I would like to add a little bit of that green color. I think I'm gonna go, I know they're gonna overlap a little bit, but I wanna take away some of that white space there. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with another brush. Yeah, you bet, Jessie. This is a really fun way to color, really quick and easy, and you don't have to worry about, because it's all the same ink, you're not gonna worry about like bleeding or you know, getting a muddled look, but it does take I always have loved sponging, and the blending brushes do a really good job of that kind of a technique. I used to love to sponge edges of everything, color with my sponges. I loved sponges. So the blending brushes have taken the place of that for me for a lot of things, and I'm really excited about that. Okay, so go ahead and get your phrase ready. I'm using the word celebrate. And I'm going to dress up this guy just a little bit more by using another stamp. This little stamp kind of looks like a little sprig. And it's part of that framed Florets stamp set. And because I'm stamping in the same color, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stamp off once and then add my little sprig. Stamp off again, add my little sprig, and then I'll hold it up for a second and you can see because it's a little lighter, it hides behind the words, but it kind of finishes it off at the same time. So there is my phrase. All right, let me close all of that up so I don't stick my fingers in anything. Okay, so go ahead and grab your paper trimmer. Now what you're gonna wanna do is take your designer series paper and we're basically just gonna cut it in half, but we're gonna cut it in half so that we make 2 triangles. So here's your 3x3 square, turn it one direction, line up your points in the track where the blade is going to go. and cut through. Okay, so now you have 2 pieces, and we are going to use those 2 pieces like a frame around the imagery or whatever you have as that piece right there. Now you can decide how much you want and how versus how little you want. So you could have this be a very tight frame with very little space in between, kind of like that. Or you can spread this out more and have a bigger gap. Kind of decides what you can kind of decide, probably depending on what your DSP looks like versus what you've put in here. How much of it do you want it to show? How much don't you want to show? And then you just need a little adhesive in each of these corners, basically. So I'm going to flip that over, add my Stampin' Seal to those 2 corners. And let's see here. I'm going to bring this in. Now, if you had something that's directional, make sure you've got the direction the correct way. Especially if you're going to be seeing a lot of it, you want to make sure that that didn't get hidden. Whoops. I moved it before I pressed the tape down. That's not going to work. There we go. All right, and then this guy can go over here, and I can usually just eyeball and see that I've got about the right matching distance for how that's going to go. Okay, right? Isn't that an easy way to do a frame, Kathy Jo? If you work that with any size square that you've got going on, you know, you can do littles all the way up. You can make another one bigger, another one bigger. Just go by your normal layering. So like you saw, this was 2 3/4, and this was 3. So you just bump it up 1/4 inch, and that's where you can play with your frames. All right, so grab your cardstock, and you can decide where you want to place this down and if you want to use dimensionals or not. So it can sit on the left side or the center or the right side. You could also go toward a corner if you like. So I think this guy I'm just going to center over here. And I'm not going to actually tape it down because this is the back side of the one I made before. And I'll find a different card base to add him to later. And again, tape it down directly, or you can go ahead and use some dimensionals. And then add your phrase just kind of tucked off to the side like that. Okay, so let me very carefully move him up there. And then let me show you what else I had going on to match that particular layout. So I did a sample with the hedgehogs. You can see I added a little piece of cardstock down here, just something to ground the image more because it was a tree and livestock. I don't know, would that be livestock? An animal. I wanted it to feel more grounded. So I did actually add a piece of cardstock here that I also embossed with an embossing folder. And I punched him out. These are popped up a little bit. And I did something I haven't done in a while. I doodled on the edges of some of my neutral. You just take the pen tip end of your Stampin' Write marker and make any design you want. I usually just do a dot and a squiggle and a dot and a squiggle all the way around. And it just adds kind of a little bit of a little whimsical element, I guess. And that felt really good with the hedgehog because he's cute or cutesy and all that kind of good stuff. All right, this one I did with Bewitching. That's one of the Halloween sets that's in the mini catalog. So this is Parakeet Party. And I used my Parakeet Party markers to color in the stripes on the socks, the belt buckle, and the lines in the designer series paper back here. This is the black and white paper, and I colored it in with my markers so that everything was parakeet. And then this piece here is actually my neutral piece that I used for the phrase, but I covered it with more of that glitter washi tape. And then I did a piece, I just cut out, I stamped this on a piece of parakeet, cut it out, and just put it on top. But I wanted to bring in some more of that sparkle and some of that glitter. That glitter washi tape is so awesome. I love it. Okay, then on this next one, I flipped the directionness, whatever that word's going to be. So this one goes vertically instead of horizontally. You can see the same concept. It's the square. I just turned it into the diamond across. This time I made sure I watched how far out, because this is only a 4 1/4 inch distance. I want to make sure I didn't go off the page there. Did I freeze? I hope I didn't freeze. Okay, so here is that one, and that's the sunflowers. I used my blending brushes again to color in that particular piece right there. And then lastly, here is the finished one of the stepped up version. I added in some more layers underneath here and underneath my phrase. I used an embossed layer here as well, and I made this frame out a little bit wider. Uh-oh. Well, hopefully it's still going. And my TV turned off, but I think hopefully I'm still live through the Facebook part. Okay, so I used my blending brushes around here. I also stamped a different image from that stamp set. this one here as opposed to just the little ones. And I colored them in with my blends. Oh, I wanted to point out too, that particular image is here in the DSP in 2 different colors, the darker pink and the lighter pink. And that would be able to be die cut done with the dies also. So that's kind of a fun way to use up some of that DSP. All right, I will have this hopefully posted. Hopefully this worked this time. Thank you everybody for bearing with me while Facebook figured out what the heck I was trying to do. Okay, everyone, you have a great day, great rest of your week, and then I will see you again next Monday. All right, take care, everyone.